Oh, dude, I didn't even tell you too.
What?
We went on a rabbit hunt the other day.
Wait, in the backyard?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's this rabbit that's been like living on my back patio for like, I've tried to get this guy like 4 times because he's just hanging out there. I don't know what his deal is. So he's just hanging out there. So like 4 or 5 times, dude, we would go out there and try to get him and he would just get away. And then
silly rabbit.
That wascally-wabbit.
Wascally-wabbit.
And then yesterday, dude, we finally got him. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take care of you.
What'd you do with him?
I just took him to the other side of the pond and then just released him into the woods.
Oh, I was going to say, I hope you didn't do anything terrible to him.
No, I wouldn't hurt the rabbit.
No,
and then I said, if he makes it back to the patio, then he's earned my respect and we'll keep him. But he has not made it back. So
see how intelligent this rabbit is.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for the rabbit.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the PUDs Podcast. So what's going on, buddy?
What's up, my man?
I feel like we've been doing a lot of podcasting lately. It feels like we've been on a real roll with this thing.
One after the next. Like we are a machine.
It's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, we are a machine.
Yeah, though we're
machine.
Though we're back to just us tonight, so we'll give everybody a heads up. You're just getting me and Josh tonight. Unfortunately, you're not getting any other additional folks on talking about various topics. We're just us tonight. So
no special guests. That's okay.
No dogs. No coffee. Oh well.
No,
we'll make do.
Yeah. No t-shirts. It's just the boys.
So what have you been up to, buddy? I know you're on your second week of paternal leave at this point?
Third, halfway through. Halfway through my second.
Flying by.
Yeah, it's
your
flying
second
by.
round of paternal leave, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, we took a daddy trip to the beach today. Me and the 2 kids.
Excellent. Now that's like you're outnumbered officially going to the beach. That's
yeah. It was. I'm gonna be honest. It was a little intimidating.
One's immobile and one's very mobile, so that must be an interesting mix.
See, I think it's actually makes it better that one's immobile because I know that I can let Jeremiah like run free and kind of do his thing as long as he has his floaty on. I know he's not going to drown. Like, I know he's not going to wander off too far, and I can just basically sit on the blanket with the baby. But once she can move, and then they're running in opposite directions, or she's trying to put sand in her mouth or whatever, like, then it's going to be stressful. But
it's going to be tough. What beach did you guys go to?
We hit up Fogland Beach here in Tiverton.
Cool. So nice, easy beach. Not a lot of waves and stuff. Good kids beach, right?
Yeah, nice kids beach.
And that's like, do you have to pay as a Tiverton resident to get like a pass to go there, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's like $25 if you're a Tiverton resident.
Oh damn, that's
for
cheap.
The pass. Yeah,
that's cheap, dude.
Yeah, and with that $25, they give you like a pack of the town trash bags, so it kind of like cuts it almost in half. It's more like $10 basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So
do you have to buy trash bags in Tiverton?
Oh yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know that's like a thing in certain towns, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have town trash bags, so
interesting.
We have to buy like these special like purple trash bags, and if our trash is not in those bags, it does not get collected. So
do they just let you use whatever trash cans you want to, but the bags just have to be in there?
Right. You don't even have to use a can, but I think that's ridiculous. That makes no sense to me. I would rather just pay whatever for the trash can, throw whatever bags I have in there, and let them collect that, than instead of people just putting their trash bags out on the curb. I think that looks like garbage.
This is interesting. And listeners, I apologize for this weird tangent, but I just was curious how that works. Like, so I know in Cumberland, where I grew up in Rhode Island, we had like town recycle bins and trash cans, and you just filled that up, and then you each got like a certain amount where you had to pay for them, I think, if you wanted additional ones. And that is interesting with just how the bags work. I mean, here we have like a private trash company, so they just give us bins and they just pick up whatever you put out.
Do you have to pay? You have to pay for the private trash company though.
Yep. That's
so it's
private,
like,
but we also, our taxes are also lower because like Rehoboth doesn't have like all that crap.
Right.
And
yeah, I think that's the idea. Same idea, except like instead of making everybody buy the receptacles or whatever, you have to buy the trash bags. Like, or instead of paying the private company however much you have to pay a year, you just buy the trash bags, and it's supposed to help with taxes, like you said, but I don't know whether or not it does that or not.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Well, anyways.
But yeah, so we had a great time at the beach. We swam around a little bit with the baby, and the cool thing about Fogland is there's like a regular beach on one side, and then on the other side it's like, I don't know if you'd call it a marsh or a bay or whatever. It's just like a salt
pond kind of deal.
Yeah, basically almost like a salt pond, and it's shallow, like stays shallow for a long way out, and then there's the water's like nice and warm, so we just sat in there for a little bit with the baby, and she splashed around, and Jeremiah caught a hermit crab in between his toes.
Nice.
And, he thought that was pretty cool. So
it's the best way to trap hermit crabs.
Use the toes, dude.
By that I mean it might be the worst way to trap hermit crabs if you want to get pinched by. Not that they have big claws, but don't want to catch a full-grown crab like that. That's for sure.
Oh no, definitely not. I saw a full-grown crab when we went back to the regular beach side, and I was like going to clean myself off, and this giant, it was probably the size of like a football, dude, just making its way across the floor of the ocean.
It's interesting how they can only move sideways. They can't actually like move forward and backwards.
I am the opposite. Like, I can't move sideways at all. I need to either go front or back.
Can't shimmy. What do they call it? What do they call that in football? You just like go straight to the left or right. Or like juking somebody.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Kind of.
There's no juke left in these ankles, dude. Like, these ankles are toast. There's no hard cutting. There's nothing. None of that.
No. That's like a lot of times I think how guys tear their ACLs, especially running backs.
Oh yeah.
Just like putting pressure and trying to twist in a certain way that your knee doesn't go.
Oh yeah, trying to plant and then go in a different direction quickly is not happening anymore. Like, those days are way behind me.
So Josh is like a crab. That might be a good title of this episode, actually.
Josh is I'm like an opposite crab. I can only go front and back.
Oh, right. You're an opposite. Josh is an opposite crab. Excellent.
I'm like a racehorse. Put the blinders on me. I can only go one direction.
Oh, man.
I'm like a cow, right? Isn't there a myth that cows like can't go downstairs or something like that?
I don't know if that's cows. I know that's definitely a myth about some animal, though.
Something. They can't go downstairs.
I mean, I don't think I'd try to bring one downstairs, but I've never had to.
Man.
So.
Yeah, you're not bringing your cow up and downstairs.
No, I'll have to go down the street and borrow one from somebody else if I wanted to test that. You're like, hey, I'll bring that steer back in a little bit.
I got to get to the bottom of something real quick. How about you, man? You been up to anything good?
Not much. Well, I'd say this week I haven't been up to much. We'll dive into what I got up to this weekend in a little bit, but no, just some standard yard work. I mowed the lawn and just doing some local house dad stuff, I suppose. Nothing super exciting.
House dad.
Our lawn was super thick, dude. Our like lawnmower was like stalling out. I hadn't mowed it in a while. Well, like it didn't grow because it was dry, and then we got all that rain and it kind of went crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, I right before that rain, I mowed it, and then it rained for like 3 days straight, and then I immediately had to mow it again. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad your lawn's grown in.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah. All right,
you want to get into the music moment, dude?
Yeah, let's get into the next music moment.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, man. So the next music moment is brought to you by Roots Coffee Roasters. Mm-hmm. Log on to Roots Coffee Roasters at rootscoffeeroasters.us. Put in promo code PUDS10 for 10% off your order. I recommend the Legacy Blend. I know they have the Legacy Blend in the Guatemala.
And they're going to be dropping the Colombian soon for dark roast, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the first dark roast single origin.
Keep an eye out. Yeah, no, yep, you said it right. The single origin dark roast. Yeah, so log on, buy some coffee. It is delicious. I'm working through the legacy cold brew as we speak, and refreshing as cold brew.
Yeah,
What'd you say? You started with the Guatemala, right?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of the legacy next. And I was gonna mention too, I don't know if we even mentioned when we were talking to them, probably briefly, but nice local company down in Rochester, so supporting the Southeast Mass local by doing that as well. It's not some big conglomerate coffee company. We got the little guys with the good stuff, nice and fresh.
That's right. They grind it fresh. You heard them on the episode. If you haven't, go back and listen to the episode. They basically are grinding to order. So put in your order. They'll grind it up for you or roast the beans for you, nice and fresh. Send them out to you. And if you use, once again, promo code PUDS10, you'll get 10% off your order. That's PUDS and the number 10 for 10% off at rootscoffeeroasters.us.
All right, so this week's Nick's Music Moment. So when I was driving back from New Hampshire on Sunday, SiriusXM Alt Nation does an advanced placement listing of a bunch of different artists and stuff. I think they do like 10 or 12 different artists, and it's all brand new music. A lot of it's like really, really recently come out. So within that list was this artist that I was going to have on the Nick's Music Moment this week. So the artist was Chloe Slater, and she just put out an EP called You Can't Put a Price on Fun. It's her debut EP, just came out this year in 2024. She was releasing a couple singles earlier in the year, and this is kind of the initial product with 6 tracks on it. The song I heard on SiriusXM was actually the song Price on Fun, so sort of the title track of this EP. It was excellent. It caught my ear. I kind of wrote down and made a little note of the artist so I could kind of check it out later in Apple Music and see if she had any albums or anything yet. And a lot of times advanced placement too, it just means new music. It doesn't mean necessarily new artists. So I wasn't sure if she was already established or not, but she's brand new. She's actually only 21 years old. She's out of Manchester, England. And she's getting a lot of attention out there. Her music is fantastic, but also she's got some really interesting lyrics. A lot of talking about sort of UK politics and the culture and just social media and kind of a whole bunch of different hot button topics, I guess, and topics relevant in this time. So she's getting a lot of attention for that, in addition to just the really good writing and catchy music. 24 Hours and Price on Fun, probably my favorite 2 songs on it. I think all of it's pretty solid though. Super excited to see. Hopefully she'll come out with like an actual full-length album, and super excited to see what she's going to get up to, and hopefully she kind of continues writing music and stuff.
Yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. And you said it was on the SiriusXM list, and it was already something that you were looking to put on, or?
No, so it's on the SiriusXM Alt Nation channel, but on Sundays, I believe it's Sundays, they do a advanced placement like section where it's like 30 minutes to an hour of all brand new songs. I think it's actually only like 30 minutes, but they'll just go down all these new artists and kind of give them a shout out and give them a buzz. So it's cool. They actually, I since found out they actually have an advanced placement channel that you can kind of listen to just new tracks all the time, which I actually was listening with Rylan walking tonight. It's kind of cool.
Nice.
It's just nice to listen to like new stuff, because a lot of those radio stations, like I'll throw on Sirius if I'm in the car. Sometimes I just don't feel like picking out albums or whatever. Listening, I'm just being lazy. Or now when I walk with Rylan's kind of got in the habit of like, I started playing music when we'd walk, and she wants me to play music when we go on a walk together after I pick her up. So she'll be like, Daddy, music, put on music. So I've been shuffling through different sorts of channels, and the advanced placement one fit the bill tonight for us. So
yeah,
it's cool.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, Chloe Slater, You Can't Put a Price on Fun EP. Check it out.
Awesome, dude. You got to get Rylan on the Disney like songs. Like you got to get her onto like that song from Mulan. Let's get down to business.
I'm sure that'll happen on its own. She's
to
already
defeat the Huns.
That just reminds me of Ash and friend of the podcast Kelly in college. It's a long story, but I used to sing that sometimes.
We're gonna save that for. We'll save. I need to hear that story, so we're gonna save that for another episode. It's nothing weird. I
think they used to just watch Disney movies a lot of times in the background. They'd end up just breaking in a song. It wasn't anything too crazy.
It's a good way to live, dude. That's a good way to live. Yeah,
they were very happy, and they enjoy that song a lot. Like Ash still will sing that sometimes when
I sing
there's
it
some
all
part
the time.
of that song that comes up in conversation. Yeah, man. So That's Nick's music moment. You got a Josh's jazzy music moment for us?
Man, I have a very, very topical Josh's jazzy music moment. Maybe, well, I don't know, topical, but
it's jazz.
It's hot. It's hot. No, it's not jazz.
Oh,
okay. I think Matt took that too literally.
He's like,
in the,
like we talk
the
about
Roots episode.
Like you pick a jazz artist every week.
Yeah,
I mean, you
no,
could, but like that's not you.
Yeah, no, I don't do jazz. But somebody that we've talked about on the podcast before, Nick, Childish Gambino. He released what will be his final album in July of this year. It's called Bando Stone in the New World. It's actually going to be a soundtrack for a film that's being released with the same name.
Cool.
I think that I don't know if he's starring in it. I actually don't know too much about the movie itself. But so he's actually gone out and said that, yeah, this is going to be it. He's kind of said that this is his final album as Childish Gambino, which leads me to believe maybe he might either change his name or maybe start releasing music as maybe Donald Glover or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Basically, he said he doesn't feel the need to build in that way anymore, and it's not fulfilling to him. So he said he always knew that the Childish Gambino was kind of like a character, and that he wanted that to end. So
interesting.
Which it is interesting. There was a little factoid about this that I
didn't realize it was like a concept thing that was like Childish Gambino was that. I figured that was just sort of his name.
So there's the way do you know about the way that he came up with that name?
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
So this was actually a little factoid that I had remembered hearing, but I had just reheard it like a couple weeks ago, and it was like, oh yeah. But so he basically put his name into it was like a Wu-Tang Clan member name generator, like online. And then that was the name that it came out with, and that's what he went with.
That's super random and also super reflective of the times that he
Yeah.
was looking for a name for himself.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
That's cool.
So I've said this before, he's one of my favorite artists, maybe of all time. He's just so different, and he does things like so differently. He's super talented. He's a talented musician. He's a talented comedian, like actor. The things that he's been in.
Does it all.
Yeah, he does it all. Like his show Atlanta that was on FX. That's probably one of my favorite shows of all time. It's like so smart, so well written. Like it's captivating, the stuff that he does. So yeah, check out this album, Bando Stone in the New World. He has this song on there called Lithonia, and it's like he's a rapper, but this is 100% a 2000s emo rock song, dude.
Oh, really?
He like, I don't know how he does it, but he just does it.
That's cool.
And then he has like another
super surprising and kind of unexpected in a good way.
Yeah, super surprising, dude. And then he has another one called Running Around. It's like a super like pop rocky type song. Like it's every song sounds different on the album, which I think is cool. I'm one of those people that I like different music. I like kind of jumping around from song to song. So it kind of really has resonated with me. Yeah, so check it out, man.
Yeah, what's the name of it again?
It's Bando Stone in the New World.
And the full album's already out too. It's not like I know how they'll release some tracks ahead of time.
Yeah,
Awesome.
The full album was released on July.
Yeah, so check it out, Childish Gambino. Excellent. All right, man, you want to get into the main topic tonight?
Yeah, dude.
All right, let's do it. All right, so I think we're just going to do a sort of recap tonight with some hiking stuff. I know you have a lovely family trip coming up to Saco, Maine, so I figured we'd talk about that a bit too. That sounds exciting. Never been up there myself, so. Before we get into that, though, I forgot to mention it. Maybe I should have mentioned it at the beginning. Friend of the podcast and was on our Apple Music Top 100 albums episode, Spencer
Spencer Berriman is officially married, dude.
Congrats, Spencer. Yeah. Congrats. Yeah, I saw some pictures because I'm friends with him on the socials and saw some dancing going on that he's doing for his lady, I believe.
Dude, let me tell you.
Pretty epic.
Let me tell you, dude.
They did a hell of a job.
That was incredible. Go on my social media, go on my Instagram, check it out. The video's still up there. This man choreographed, collaborated with his groomsmen, didn't tell anybody, and did a dance to I think it's Silk Sonic. It's like Bruno Mars and I forgot the other guy's name, but they made a little collaboration album, or are collaborating currently, and he danced to that song. I think "Fly As Me," and
yes,
he did a dance for his wife Elena, with his groomsmen, and that place was electric. It was electric when he did that, dude.
It looked like it from what I saw. I can only imagine in person it must have been a lot louder and stuff.
Yeah, he is
way to go, Spencer. I think he's off to a good start.
He's off to a good start, dude.
I don't know if you could. I don't know, or maybe he did too much. That might be too much.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's gonna be able to read. Yeah, I don't know. That might be a really high bar that you set for yourself there, buddy.
Yeah. It's like, it just felt so out of character for him too, because you've talked to him. You might have met him in person a time or two, but he's like such a mild-mannered, like, not that he's necessarily quiet, but to just have the stones, dude, to get up and do that in front of everybody, and especially for your wife, is like, wow, incredible.
Excellent.
So
nice job, Spencer, and congratulations again.
Yeah,
congrats, buddy.
Good job, and congratulations to you and Elena. Hoping for many years of a happy marriage. So congratulations to them.
Awesome.
But yeah, man, like you said, I'm getting ready. It's actually a surprise trip Jeremiah does not know about yet. We're just going to load him up in the car on Friday and head up there and not tell him what we're doing or where we're going until we get there. So
that's awesome.
We're going to Saco, Maine. I call it Saco. I know some people call it Saco. I don't know. But we're going to Old Orchard Beach. We're going to spend a few days up there, probably hit some of the amusement parks, hit the boardwalk, hit the beach, check out the area. Real nostalgic to me. I spent a lot of vacations up there, where my father would take us camping and stuff like that up there, and we'd go to I think it's called Funland or something like that. That's on the boardwalk, little amusement park type deal, and swimming in the pools and stuff like that all day, and just messing around. Like, a lot of good memories doing that, and I think it'll be something good to share with Jeremiah. And Melissa and I have been up there since we've been together a couple times. So, but this will be the first time with the kids. So I think he's really going to enjoy it. I think he's going to have a great time.
Very cool, man. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be special going back to the place that you were at with your dad when you were a kid and stuff, and kind of getting to bathe in that nostalgia a bit and also show it to your son.
Yeah.
Sawyer probably won't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure you'll get back with her when she gets a little bit older.
We're not doing that's cool. We're not doing the same type of camping that my father had us doing. We're staying in a cabin at a KOA.
I was gonna ask where you guys were staying and stuff. Yeah. So that's what is that, like 2.5 hours up, something like that?
It's drive? Like, it's actually, just right around that. It's actually really not a bad drive at all, dude. It's pretty insane how close it is. It doesn't feel that close. When you talk about Maine, it just automatically feels like 4 hours. But it's
in my mind it is.
Sure. About 2.5 hour trip, and we'll be up there for 4 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, coming back Monday, so like 3 days.
Excellent.
Excellent,
dude.
Yeah, I think we're gonna check out I think one of the days is supposed to rain, and there's like a cryptid museum there, so we're gonna go check out the cryptid museum.
Is cryptid like all the legendary animals and stuff?
Bigfoot, mermaids,
like Chupacabra.
Yeah.
I feel like that actually could be pretty cool.
I think Jeremiah is gonna be super into that, dude. So I kind of want to check that out.
Awesome, dude. Well, I hope you guys have a blast.
Thanks, man.
And hopefully the weather, I think, is supposed to be pretty good for the next through the next week. I'm all about the weather, so.
Yeah, no, I know nice. You are, and it's looking great. We've been tracking it, so awesome. Yeah, we'll be heading up there early on Friday to try to get into one of the parks, and then check into the cabin that afternoon. So I don't even know. Did I ever tell you about the time where my father took me camping out there and they thought I was lost and they searched the whole campground for me for 2 hours?
I don't think you told me that story. I've heard some of your camping stories, where you slept walk and you ended up having to find your way back. But I don't think I've heard this one, actually.
Yeah. So
let's hear it.
When I was younger, like I said, my father would take us up there and we would stay at this campground. So one afternoon, dude, I had got out of the pool on the campground, and it's the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, whatever. I think more late 90s. I was probably 9, maybe 8 or 9 or 10. But so I got out of the pool. Nobody's been watching me all day. I've just been popping around the pool with my brother, and so I got out of the pool and went into their tent and laid down and took a nap. And I guess nobody knew that I was in the tent. So, yeah, my parents searched for me for hours, dude. For hours. Josh. And then eventually they just looked in the tent, and then I was in there sleeping and called off the search. I didn't even find out until after I woke up and we were going into somewhere. And they were like, "Oh, you found him." And I was like, "Who?" They were like, "Oh, you."
Yeah, I was lost.
Yeah, they were like, "Yeah."
Question mark.
They're like, "Oh yeah, we thought you were lost, but you were just in the tent." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was just having a nap in the tent, dude."
Oh man.
I had the weirdest dream during that nap too that has stuck with me to this day, dude. To this day.
What was the dream? So
the dream was I was at the little amusement park on the boardwalk. And then I was I was going through this, they have a little I don't even know. It's not a haunted house, but one of those houses where you walk through and there's different rooms.
Yeah, a fun house.
Yeah, a fun house. Yeah, exactly.
Mirrors and.
Yeah, exactly. So I was walking through the fun house. I get out of the fun house and then I go and do bumper cars, dude. And I'm riding bumper cars and I can feel somebody staring at me, as I'm riding these bumper cars. So I look and it's just this young kid just staring at me. I don't know, maybe he was the same age as me or maybe a little bit younger, and he's just staring at me, and I'm moving and he's moving, but his head's not moving, and he's staring at me. And I just hear the sound of crashing waves, dude, and I just wake up.
That's such a weird dream.
It's such a weird dream. You want me to add? Go ahead. Yeah, ask your question.
I was going to say that I was going to ask listeners to write in and tell us what you think Josh's dream means. It sounds like there was another portion that you didn't mention yet.
Oh yeah, I'm going to add in my new little twist, dude, because I was telling Melissa this the other day. I said, what if the little boy in that dream was Jeremiah the entire time? Ooh, Twilight Zone.
So if you guys end up on the boardwalk and there's a bumper car ride, are you going to go on it?
No,
I would stay off it. I feel like you should stay off it.
I'm staying off the bumper cars, dude, for sure.
I was going to say, I feel like I'd feel better if you stayed off the bumper cars.
Oh, man. I promise you.
It's like Jeremiah. It's going to end up a situation like Jeremiah can't go on with you, but you're stoked to go on bumper cars because you haven't been on since you were a kid and went to there with your dad. And then you're going to go on and I don't know what's going to happen next.
I'm telling you, dude, I've watched way too much Twilight Zone.
Yeah. That sounds like some Black Mirror
no kidding.
sort of thing. Almost like that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, listeners,
let's
interpret Josh's dream for us. Just click that little link that says, give us some fan mail. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, tell me what that's all about, dude. That was weird. As I'm being searched for because I'm taking a nap.
So weird.
What a time to be alive, dude, where you could just be in the pool all day in a campground in a completely different state that's 2.5 hours away from your home, and your parents have no idea where you are because they're not watching you all day, and you're 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What a time to be alive.
My mom used to freak out if I went underwater too much at the beach.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
She's like, I can't see you. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. My parents would just go looking for me, and my dead body would just be floating in the ocean.
Oh my gosh, it's so dark.
Oh man, I was only gone for a half an hour.
We got another one.
Yeah, we got one more. You got to live up to the expectations of this boy.
Oh man.
Oh man. But yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this trip. Like it's fun. Like I said, we've been back a couple times when I was coaching AAU basketball. We went up there a couple years for a couple tournaments, and yeah, it's always a good time. It's really a great place to stay. There's so much to do there. It's so family friendly. There's like a drive-in theater too. Like I was gonna try to hit that, but I don't think they have anything family friendly on for us to watch that weekend. So, but
that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, hope you guys have a good time. I'm sure you'll be taking pictures and whatnot. So
yeah,
enjoy.
Man. All right, so tell me about the hikes, dude. Tell me about these hikes.
Yeah. So I'll dive into this weekend in a bit, but I was gonna just harken back to our Portugal staycation that everybody was roasting me for, seemingly for not getting to Portugal on the coffee roasting episode.
Forgive us, Nick. Forgive us.
It was a little bit of a Nick roasting episode, but it's all
forgive
good.
us, please. Forgive us.
So at the end of the week on July 27th, the Saturday, when we should have been flying back from Portugal, my mom had been looking to sort of take care of Rylan and do an overnight, had been a little bit. So she actually offered to have Rylan for an overnight on the Friday into the Saturday. And since the weather looked really good, Ash and I figured we'd get out for a hike together, which hasn't happened in quite a while since I'm trying to think, we were trying to harken back to when we had last hiked together, just us two, but it likely was before Rylan was born, I think. So it'd been quite a while since we had sort of sneaked away, just us two.
That's a long time, dude.
Yeah, man. It was kind of funny when you feel like all of a sudden like time has passed and we're in this moment hiking together again. It was like a weird thing when we pulled up to the trailhead and it was just us. It was kind of strange.
Let me tell you, me and Melissa
strange in a good way.
Had that moment when we were going to Spencer's wedding, because there was like a couple hours in between the ceremony for the wedding and the reception itself. So we just like went to Marisol's in Dartmouth and just sat down and just had a cup of coffee together. Like we were like this is nice.
Like you don't have children.
Yeah, this is nice. We haven't sat down and just had a cup of coffee, just the two of us, in a long time, and just chatted for like an hour and some change, dude. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, I'll sneak up by myself a lot, but it was just weird. Like even when I'm by myself, like I have much more of a feeling than I did that day of like, oh, I got to get back home and like go see Rylan and stuff, and I'm trying to usually get back like as quickly as I can most of the time. Yeah. And it was funny to like, we were just there and we're like, yep, we started plenty early enough. Like let's just hike and we'll pick her up at my mom's house.
That's
kind
awesome.
of when, like around dinner time or sort of late afternoon. So yeah, we snuck out, and I'm working on my AMC seasonal 4,000 footer list, so hiking them in all seasons. I'm kind of plugging away with summer since we're in summer. I guess that probably sounds redundant to mention that, but we're in the month of summer, so I'm currently working on my summer.
You can't be working on winter now, right?
Yeah, you're like, if I said like fall, Josh would be like, wait a second, how can you do that?
Yeah, I'm no geologist.
Working on my summer list, so I was looking to see what I had left. I was at 38 out of 40 at this point, or 38 out of 48. Wow, there's 48 4,000 footers. So 38 out of 48. And we were also looking for something that we could go up and do relatively quickly, so not too bad of a drive, and something that we could bang out probably in a reasonable amount of time. And we also wanted to do something new. So with those sort of criterias, I started looking around at different options, and we settled on Mount Flume and Mount Liberty, which I need for my summer 4,000 footers. So we ended up settling on this loop. We've done it out and back from Liberty Springs twice already. We've done it in the fall and we've done it in the winter. So we wanted to do something different, and we figured we'd try making a counterclockwise loop of it and actually go up the Flume Slide trail, which is a terrifying 25, separate sort of little list website organization. You can kind of read the details of it if you look online. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to check out what the terrifying 25 is. So you end up taking up the Flume Slide more or less up to Mount Flume, and you'll hit the Franconia Ridge Trail, make your way to Liberty, and then come down Liberty Springs Trail. And we did start and end on the bike path. I won't get into the complete every detail of the route. I'll say you can kind of figure out which way you want to go. You can pretty much park at a couple different parking areas, sort of end up starting the same way. So the Terrifying 25 Flume Slide Trail, why it gets the name is because you kind of start meandering through the woods and eventually you hit the base of an old overgrown slide going up Mount Flume. So it's very steep. I don't know the exact stats, but it goes up very quickly, very aggressively to the summit of Mount Flume when it finally starts to kind of increase on incline. You start kind of going through the woods and you see sort of this boulder field wash and you kind of keep plugging through that. And eventually you're going up straight up ledge and just very, very steep rock. And the thing that makes this trail sort of notably sketchy is, in addition to the fact that it's just very steep, is that there's more or less this cold water spring running out of the mountain down the entirety of the slide. And the slide's overgrown. It's not open like the North Tri-Pyramid Slide or some of the other Terrifying 25 trails that are just sort of open ledge. It's completely overgrown. It's in the trees, so there's a lot of moss. It's very wet, and it's, as Ash said, it's very slidey. I have a video. I'll link the video too, but I ended up filming a little bit. But very steep, wet, slippery, and reads sketchy more or less.
So for the non-hikers, when you say slide, is this because it's a lot of loose rocks? Is it because of the pitch that it's at?
It's a literal like rock slide that fell back in the 1800s, I believe, mid to late 1800s.
So just a bunch of big old rocks everywhere.
Yeah, rocks, and then exposed ledge with no soil on it.
Okay.
Pretty much the deal. There are giant slides on the front of Mount Flume that most people, if you've been to like the Flume Gorge Visitor Center, you've seen sort of Mount Flume and Mount Liberty from there. Like you can see the old scars and slides. The actual slide trail doesn't ascend one of those slides out in the open. You're actually sort of to the right of it if you're facing Mount Flume, at least where the slide is. And you kind of go up through the woods super aggressively. I was actually taking film, so like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'll sort of throw that in the show notes if anybody does want to check it out. Greatly appreciate it if you do watch. Thank you. But I was filming Ash going up it, and figured it would be a good day to film since it was just beautiful and it was just us two out there. Nice. So we started up. Ash is kind of always game for doing whatever, so she was pretty pumped, I think, to be out there. And again, we had that feeling of like, oh, like it's just us hiking.
It's rare.
This is interesting.
Yeah, it's a rarity.
Yeah, and kind of headed up, pretty uneventful climb up until we got to the slide. It was a nice, cool, dry day. It felt almost a little bit like fall. Unfortunately, there was wildfire haze hanging around, which obscured our views. I kind of realized that after we got home. I was thinking, I'm like, why isn't this haze burning off? And it's because it was wildfire haze. But other than obscuring views a little bit, we still had really good visibility as far as how far away you could see. So we started going up the Flume Slide. I kind of kept thinking in my head, I'm like, wonder if we're like there yet. And like once you hit the steep section, like you'll know it. There's quite a few places where it gets very vertical. Unfortunately, we had to dodge maybe two ledges. There are herd paths that go either side of the slide. It's still sketchy probably either way you go. But just because of how muddy and wet it was, which I've heard is usually the case, we literally couldn't get traction with our shoes on some of the ledges. So we kind of tried to stick to the ledge as much as we could and not use the herd paths and tried to stay on the actual path in the rock. But there were a couple places where, like, unfortunately, we couldn't do it safely. Like, there was no way. We kind of looked at each other.
Wet because of there was rain, or wet because of that spring that you were talking about?
So good question. I think most of it is the spring, but I do think it might have rained a little bit that morning. I'm not sure. We kind of speculated. From what I've heard, kind of talking afterwards from everybody, it sounds like that's just the normal state of it, and that's really the thing that makes it challenging. It's just
always moist.
It's just always wet rock, and I think the places that are drier are like sort of the only places where people can put their feet. So a lot of the places are super worn down from people trying to get grip with their shoes. Like I said, we're trying to be safe and not be reckless, which I think most hikers do. We're not like rock climbers or anything by any means, but there were a couple spots where like we sort of looked at each other and we're trying to like get our feet to grab the ledge, and like it just wasn't working. So there are herd paths. If you haven't done the Flume Slide Trail before, there's herd paths to dodge stuff. That being said, you're still going to deal with some really steep open spots. Like I said, it's not super exposed in terms of being like, you feel like wide open, like I'm going to fall off the edge of the mountain kind of deal. Like you're on an open ledge slide, but there are places where you're going to look down and be like, oh, if I fell right now, I could probably get seriously injured is what I would say. Yeah. Like there's definitely some spots. I was actually filming Ash, and at one point I slipped, and like instinctually, like I'm always trying to guard my camera. And at that point, like I felt myself trying to guard it. I'm like, I need to put this in my backpack. I'm like, this is stupid. Yeah. So I got some nice shots of her going up and was just kind of putting it in and out of my backpack. But I'm like, a lot of times I'll just sort of hold my tripod or have it around my neck. At that point, I just had it around my neck, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this safely, so let me throw it in the back of my pack. I don't need to smash my face to try to save a camera lens or something. That's just stupid.
I'm telling you, man, you need a GoPro. You just need like a little GoPro.
A lot of people use them, but I think the vibes that I'm trying to go with video is try to use more of a cinematic sort of camera and try to go with that. Yeah. So I do appreciate the fact that it'd be a lot easier. And I shoot a ton of video. A lot of the videos I post on Instagram are all on my phone. So I just shoot in like Apple ProRes or whatever. But yeah, man, we got to that. We made it up. Probably like people will say it was like type 2 fun. We both didn't think we were particularly terrified, or we didn't feel terrified at any point. I felt like it was just sketchy and you really had to pay attention to what you were doing. As far as the slippery traction and sort of issues like that. Once we got past the slide section, the final bit was just kind of steep. You kind of dive into the woods and then you pop out on the Franconia Ridge Trail. And we hadn't been up that side of Flume before. It's very cool. You pop out and you have this awesome view up to maybe it's like 100 feet or so of gain up to Flume. And you have this beautiful outlook looking Flume, Liberty, and the whole entirety of Franconia Ridge. For those of you that don't know, that's basically the southern tail of Franconia Ridge, more or less, as far as the 4,000 footers where Flume and Liberty are. So it goes up like Flume, Liberty, Haystack, Lincoln, all the way up to Lafayette, where I think most people think of the Franconia Ridge, they think of Lincoln and Lafayette, but Liberty and Flume are part of it as well. And you can also make a giant loop over the entire thing if you wanted to.
Nice, dude. How long did it take you?
I think so. So we got up to Flume, I don't know, like probably a couple hours. I think the whole thing took us 6 or 7 hours, maybe like 6 or 7 hours moving time, but got up to Flume. We kind of chowed down and ate a lot of food there. Ended up crossing a listener, Christy Rafferty. So that was cool to see her out there along with the Kim and the Littlefoot crew. So that was pretty neat to cross them out there. They were actually going up the Flume Slide Trail and doing some gridding for Littlefoot.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, it was cool to cross some friendly faces. I'm actually talking about them with the podcast a little bit, so that was pretty neat. And also just talking about hiking. So it was great to see them out there. I'm sure we'll cross again one day. And hung out on Flume, continued down the ridge. There's basically just a big down and up, going up back up to Liberty. And Mount Liberty, I love that summit. It's been a while since I've been up there. Had fantastic views all the way across. Kind of more from here too. I was paying attention. You could see Mount Washington, and then get a whole great view of the Pemigewasset Wilderness. Then across the Cannon and the Kinsmans and Moose Lock, and it's kind of just overlooking that whole, I guess, valley that the Franconia Notch kind of entails and encompasses.
Sweet.
So it was really pretty to see that, and yeah, we made our way down. I think, like I said, it took us like around 7 hours, I think, total. So got home. We actually got home like 2.5 hours or something like that. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Ooh. We had no traffic. We were cruising, or I should say, we got to my mom's house. I guess is a little bit closer than here. So we had a nice smooth ride home.
This was a Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was a Saturday. Wow. So usually better than a Sunday if you're coming back from up north.
Gotcha.
But I was still kind of impressed with how quickly we made it. And a couple little factoids. So for me, this was number 39, number 40 of the summer 48. And one thing we realized on the way down that was super cool is these were actually, Liberty and Flume were actually our number 2 and number 3 peaks on the original 48. So when we first did them, is it really 10? Yeah, I think it was close to 10 years ago.
Wow.
Almost 20, 9 or 10 years ago. I got to double, I wrote the date down,
it's
but
like
I think that's wrong now that I'm looking
2014,
it's like
2015?
2014 or 2015, I think we did it. So, yeah. So,
that feels like, kind of, when you say 2014, 2015, it feels like 4 to 6 years ago.
Yeah. Maybe I'll drop a Nick blip in here and recorrect myself. Not that it matters because it's just us, but either way, it was like, we're like, wow, like we've come a long way since then as parents, hikers. Like we were just thinking about how much had changed since the first time we went there. Cause that to us was really like North Kinsman, our first 4,000 footer, hooked us a little bit, but when we did that, we did it on a beautiful fall day in October back in, I believe 2014. I have that written down. That just seems so long ago. Kind of crazy. Maybe I'm just in denial. Beautiful fall day. And it's the first time we really broke above tree line around anything. And once we kind of got to Liberty and Flume that day, like I remember we were just hooked. And we also, or I should say, I learned the importance of reading about elevation gain, because that route going out and back Liberty Flume is like over 4,000 feet of gain. And we had not done anything even close to that.
Damn.
And I literally remember we both were very, very sore the next day. And Ash actually got back to the house we were staying at with my parents around Newfound Lake. And like, she like couldn't walk almost, like getting up off the couch. And my mom was like freaking out. She's like, what did you do to her? What'd you do to this nice girl? I was like, she did it to her. She wanted to come with me. I didn't make her do it.
Oh no.
Yeah, just funny. So those funny memories. I kind of wanted to throw that back just because it was funny doing that again. 2 great peaks. But yeah, Flume and Liberty. So that was back the end of July, the end of our Portugal staycation. And then to get into this past weekend, I was mentioning on last episode that me and Shoki pretty much had decided already that we weren't going to do the Denali Challenge. So the Waterville Valley Denali Challenge. And yeah, that pretty much held true because the forecast ended up being better this weekend than it was supposed to be, for sure. But it still absolutely downpoured Friday night. So we both woke up early and worked remotely from Waterville Valley. We just got a condo and split the sort of rent together.
Nice.
Or I should kind of divvied it up. Troki just ended up staying Friday night because he had something he had to do Sunday and had to get back Saturday afternoon. So there was no way that we were going to go out. And we did end up hiking on Friday night, I should preface, but there was no way we were going to go up a mountain and like try to actually do a bigger hike. Like there's just no way we would have wanted to do it with how hard the rain was.
Do you guys stay in Waterville Valley, like at the...
So technically Thornton we stayed in.
Oh, okay.
I should say. Yeah, just outside of Waterville Valley. Gets pricey quick looking to stay right in Waterville Valley, even when it's like just a random off weekend.
That's why we just gotta buy one, dude. We just gotta go in, buy one, and own it.
We just need to find some money somewhere.
That's any
the listeners want to donate. Yeah. So we were originally looking at getting like a hotel or something in Waterville Valley, but I ended up finding an Airbnb that we figured we could sort of get it actually for less money. So that's kind of why we went down that road of looking at a condo. But yeah, we showed up in Thornton, worked, and I think we both were itchy to get out. I ended up getting out for lunch. I was checking out some different little local trails and stuff, and figured it had rained a little bit, but honestly during most of the day, should say up to like 5-6 o'clock on Friday, it really didn't rain that hard. So I ended up checking out Cascade Path in Waterville Valley, which actually is right near, where like the tubing is that they do in the winter and stuff.
Yep.
It's right past Snows Mountain ski area. You can park there. It's almost in the very center of Waterville Valley.
Yeah.
And there's a little path there called Cascade Path that's maintained. And as the name might suggest, it goes by a bunch of cascades. So I ended up going by all those cascades, took a bunch of pictures with my camera, or as quickly as I could because I need to get back to work and get back on my lunch break time frame.
Does that one go into the town square?
No,
okay.
It does not. You're not too far from where the town square is, though, where it starts. Yeah, there's like the little ski area, Snows Mountain over there, which also I hiked Snows Mountain with Troki back in the spring. But it's sort of to the left of the tubing area and whatnot if you keep going down that road over there. So yeah, some awesome waterfalls on Cascade Path. I highly recommend checking it out. After a rainstorm, maybe not during a rainstorm as much because probably just wouldn't be as enjoyable. But the rain held off for me. There's also a bunch of swimming holes out there and stuff. It was a nice hot day. Probably a really good place to go swim. And if you're willing to have maybe a 1.5 mile walk or so. I ended up making a 3-mile loop going up Cascade Path and then basically cutting across a service road down to Snows Mountain ski area. And I actually hiked down. It looked like they had a disc golf course over there. So I kind of just ended up... So I ended up just hiking mostly down that, a little muddy and stuff here and there, but not bad at all. And that was about 3 miles and 700 feet of elevation gain for that loop from what I gathered. So
nice.
Enough to bang it out. I did end up having to jog up the service road because I ran out of time and I was taking too many pictures, but I got some really cool shots and I'm sure I'll share out at some point on our page.
I've said it enough times. I love that area, dude. I love Waterville Valley. That hike that you did, because I remember looking when we went up there last year, that hike that you did, super family friendly. I'm pretty sure
you could absolutely do that with Jeremiah.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep an eye on him, but there's nothing too crazy. It does go up a pretty good bit just up to the Cascades, and I actually ended up so if you do out and back up to the Cascades, I think it actually ends up being more elevation gain and mileage than if you just loop back down Snows, but either way it's not crazy.
Right.
It's not too bad at all. And I think there's 3 big cascades that I noticed. There very well might be more further up or in different locations. Again, I was kind of just trying to cruise in it. It's funny too, because I was trying to save time for like, I'm like, is this the biggest waterfall? And like, sure enough, like I thought I was at the bigger one, trying to take pictures and stuff, and then I go around the corner and there's an even bigger one. So that was kind of funny. but very cool. I highly recommend if you're in the area and you want a quick hike to check that out. That was my lunch break, and then I believe Troki checked out Mad River Path for a bit. He actually wrapped up a little bit earlier than I did, so he's working on doing the Waterville 125, which I believe is 125 miles of trails within Waterville Valley.
Oh, wow.
So that's part of that section. They have like a patch and all good stuff for that. And he's a big fan of Waterville Valley as well, and adopted Drake's Brook Trail, which I think we talked about in his episode. So he loves that area.
There's 1/3 of the money we need for a condo.
Right. So he got out and checked that out. Sent me some pictures. I don't think there was any waterfalls, but just kind of a nice piece of trail. It looked like maybe he went up like a ladder and stuff and did some up and down along the river. So that was cool. After I finally wrapped up, we figured since the rain still wasn't looking too bad. It's funny, at this point we're looking at the forecast, like we knew like Tropical Storm Debby was moving in. Like it was going to pour at some point. Like it was just a matter of when we were going to get like an inch or two of rain. I think they ended up getting about an inch, that being said. But we're kind of scoping out what to do. And we had been talking and planning the week before. And Mike had never checked out Georgiana and Harvard Falls, which I checked out, I believe, like last spring when I was up trying to do trail maintenance. And the time I didn't bring snowshoes, and it took me 2 hours to do like a mile of trail going up to Madison Hut. But anyways, I had checked it out, and I really, really enjoyed it. And that was sort of during a wetter time of year, being in April, May. So I figured it'd be great to check it out during a rainstorm. So we got there, started kind of sprinkling and raining on the way. And by the time we pulled into the trailhead, and this is actually like in Lincoln, like right off, I think that's Route 3, sort of where that is. It's not too far from what used to be the Red Door Motel, but like the roadway in. You can find the trailhead easily online if you do want to go check it out. But got there, we're kind of looking, we're like, okay, it's raining. I was all prepared because I wanted to take pictures, so I had like a poncho that I brought in addition to like my rain jacket. I figured I could throw the poncho over my backpack and my camera stuff. So we went out, and it started raining harder pretty quickly as we got up. The first waterfall you hit is Georgiana Falls. A really nice, probably like, I don't know, 20, 30 foot cascade. And it was ripping pretty good since the rain was starting to come down and increase. And that's got a pretty easily marked trail. I'd say mostly family friendly. There's some ledge at the very final stretch that you got to go up that was a little hairy being wet, but it wasn't awful. From that point on, there is technically a trail, but I would say it's not super easy to follow, and it's also not very kid or family friendly. I would not do that trail with Rylan on my back. It's that kind of trail. It was just very muddy. You're sort of on the side of a hill as you continue to go up all these cascades. It is beautiful, even if you just go to Georgiana Falls. But if you keep going to Harvard, in my opinion, that's where really the meat of the hike is. Harvard's a beautiful waterfall. I believe it's one of the tallest cascades actually in New Hampshire. Sometimes you see it referred to as Upper Georgiana Falls as opposed to Harvard Falls. I've always just referred to it as Harvard Falls, and a couple people I know that have recommended it to me call it Harvard Falls. So I'd just kind of refer to it as that name, but just so you know if you're looking in the area. But that thing is quite a waterfall. You hit that and it's pretty obvious. Like Troki was kind of like, oh, is this it? And I'm like, you'll know when we get there, because it's like 100 foot. It plunges like 110, 120 feet, I believe, from where you're going. And it's a good climb too. Going up to the top of Harvard Falls is around 700, 800 feet again. So you're going up pretty good. It's 2.5 miles out and back, just about, to do the whole thing. Got up to Harvard Falls. We're taking a bunch of pictures. Really, like it was impressive how loud it was as we got closer to it. We were almost like shouting at each other. Ended up going up a little bit further to this cascade that's like right below the very top where it starts to plunge down, sort of off to the right side if you're sort of facing the falls. I actually got a couple shots I remember in the video that I did a while back of me like sitting on a rock. The rock was submerged completely. You couldn't actually see it this time. Oh. So that was kind of interesting.
Oh, that rain.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. We got to the top, poked around, have a little, if it's clear, you have a view out to sort of like Loon Mountain and in Lincoln a bit, and sort of like 93. So it does have a little viewpoint at the top, but the waterfalls are kind of your main destination on this hike. And it was funny. So we're on the way down. We're kind of taking our time. And keep in mind, at this point, it was pouring hard enough at the top of Harvard Falls. I'm like, my camera is like weather sealed, but I'm like, I got to put this thing back in. Like, I'm not like, I got my pictures of the waterfall. Like, I probably took 100 or something at that point. Just firing them off with different exposure settings and or in shutter speeds, I should say. But I'm like, I'm going to throw this in my backpack. I put the poncho back on. And as we're coming down by Harvard Falls, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I swear it's louder and it's raging harder than it even was like maybe 15, 20 minutes earlier. And Trokey literally at that moment turns to me and he's like, man, that thing is definitely louder than it was when we were coming here. And we were like shouting at each other. Like I'd equate it to, it sounded like a jet engine or something like right by us. It was just crazy loud. And even as we kept going further down away from it, it almost sounded like, you know, that kind of noise that you'll hear like when a jet's flying overhead or something, like just that dull, like almost gray roar. Yeah. Kind of deal. Like that's what it sounded like being in the woods. Like you could just hear because the Cascades were so loud from the rain pouring down.
All the way back down to the bottom?
Yeah, all the way back down to the bottom. And actually the bottom of the trail by that point, it had rained enough that there was probably about, I don't know, a couple inches of water on the trail as we were going back to the parking lot. That was not there maybe an hour and a half before. So we weren't even out there that long, but the rain was just really dumping at that point. And realized that we're actually probably out in one of the portions where it was actually raining the hardest until we actually were driving back that night. But we both were hungry, so we hit Woodstock Inn and Brewery for some quick dinner, and I ended up grabbing a beer. And made our way back to Waterville Valley. And at this point, it was dumping outside. Like, it was a slow ride back. And as we were driving on the road, too, there were a bunch of just, like, debris of, like, rotted trees and crap on the road, sort of driving back through, like, I believe Campton and Thornton at that point, back to where sort of the condo were. So it was a slow ride back, but...
There's, like, that dam over there between Thornton and Waterville, too, that, like, will overflow.
So apparently, I think this happened last year. I forget what event triggered that, but Mike Trokey was telling me that when it did overflow, but people were actually saying that it broke on like online and stuff, and that actually never happened. So I'm here to set the record straight for people. If you heard a story about that dam breaking or something, that never happened. It did, I believe, overflow, like you mentioned. Yeah, it did overflow. Because it just got so much rain so quickly that happened. So back to the condo to chill for the night, and the good news about sort of what happened with the weather and the fact that so we actually didn't think it wasn't supposed to rain statistically when we were actually at the waterfalls, which turned out to be
if you're with
completely
Nick, it's
wrong.
Always
it was
gonna
like
rain.
It was like a 30% chance or something, and I think it was jumping up to 40 or 50 at like 6 or 7 basically when we were finishing, but it didn't matter because we just got rained on and it poured out.
I should have warned Mike that anytime that it's
if
not
Nick says it's not going to rain, it's probably going to rain.
Yeah, 100%.
It's going to rain. It's like when we golf. It's like, it's 30%. It's like pouring rain.
Yeah,
pouring rain
the entire time.
The good part though about how the weather was working that night and going through is that it looked like everything pretty much moved in a bit earlier than it was supposed to. So the rain and everything moved through very quickly. And by the time we woke up Saturday, we're looking at the forecast, and it was like actually like supposed to be done with the rain by like 5 a.m. and it was supposed to clear up, and that's pretty much what happened. And what we had as our objective on Saturday, since we weren't doing the Denali Challenge, we both were looking at our summer 4,000 footers, and we both needed the Hancocks. So we went and hiked the Hancocks.
Nice.
Yeah, so the Hancocks are right off the Kangamangas Highway. If you're doing a loop of both of those, you're going to be looking at 9.8 miles and 2,650 feet. So statistically, that word stuck in my head, but by the stats of this hike, the stats of this hike, you'd think in like 10 miles, 2,650 feet, doesn't look bad on paper, right? Like that seems like 5 miles to go 2,650 feet one way. You think it's pretty gradual,
right? Which
kind of sort of true with this hike. But the deal is really the first 3 to 4 miles, I guess about 3.5, something like that, are actually very flat. You're following old logging roads and stuff, basically making your way towards the border of the Pemi Wilderness. And it's not too bad. But then you hit basically where the Hancock Loop Trail starts to make its way up the Hancocks, and it goes up very aggressively and very quickly. So every time I've done it, I've chosen to go up the northern peak first, or Mount Hancock, and then made my way sort of clockwise to South Hancock. Either way you go, it's a very, very steep trail. It goes up very quickly in like the last maybe 0.7 miles on either side, 0.7 to like a mile, depending which side you're going up. A lot of the terrain is just very loose rock and loose scree, so it doesn't have the best footing. There's stairs kind of constructed out of rocks here and there if you're heading up the northern peak, but it's not fantastic. Just know that it's sort of one of those like hikes where you're going to probably start doing it if you've never done it before and be like, oh, this is a piece of cake, and then you get to where it goes up the Hancocks and you see how far up they are above you, and you're like, it's a butt kicker basically. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. The right side of the loop, if you head up south first, I usually opt not to do that because I think the footing's actually quite a bit worse. It's a little bit looser and a lot more small rocks, I think, in the entirety of it than you would have going up to the North Peak. I think Troki's done it both ways. I've always done it the clockwise way. We chose to do it the clockwise way on this day, and it was cool. So we're getting up there for summer. I've never gotten a view from the Northern Peak or Mount Hancock ever with Ash. So we've done it in the winter before, we've done it in the fall, and this time finally I got a view. So that was pretty sick.
Nice.
And it was nice. You could see a really good view all the way through from like Chikura to Wayface, Passaconaway, the Osceolas, Tri-Pyramids. You could see Tecumseh kind of hanging out back there, and just a beautiful, really probably like 180-ish view. Not a lot of room up there though. We were fortunate that we didn't cross too many people and we had the summit to ourselves, because it maybe could fit like 8 or 9 people comfortably standing around the ledges before you're going to be really brushing shoulders with people. So it was cool that it was just us and we got a view there. Moseyed on across the ridge over Middle Hancock, which is sort of a little sub peak that doesn't count for much, and up to South Hancock. And from South Hancock, it's mostly wooded, but you do have a lookout ledge that looks right up towards Carrigan and the Captain, sort of down this little corridor where I believe you could see 302. And across a bunch of peaks like Mount Tremont, the Moats, Kearsarge North, again, you could see Chikura, and just really good views. Again, limited, and I think these peaks aren't known for views, but I was kind of reminded that a lot of these peaks in my head, like you kind of consolidate, and you're like, oh, that wasn't as good as like doing Adams or Madison or like maybe Washington or Franconia Ridge, but truthfully, it's a really nice view. Like regardless, it's kind of cool, and it's a different perspective that you don't get from a lot of other mountains in the Whites. Being able to look at and sort of see these more remote areas where there's just not as much development. Like looking from Hancock, you actually can't really even see the Kangamangas Highway.
Oh wow,
which is pretty cool. Which you can't say that too many places in the Whites where you can't see like buildings or development. I think maybe you could see some of the ski slopes on Loon, but that was about it.
Oh wow. Yeah, you would. I wouldn't picture that.
Yeah, so it was cool to get back there. Pretty uneventful hike down in a good way. Like we're chilling and talking, and made our way out. Choki was gonna head back, so we stopped and got like a tea. There's like a tea shop / thrift store in Lincoln that he wanted to check out to get some green tea. I'd forget the name of it, but it exists. It's kind of where Chudder's is and stuff in that plaza. so
tea
we went
shop
there.
Thrift store.
Yeah, it exists.
Only
it's
in New Hampshire.
Yeah, they sell a lot. It looked like a lot of used like ski clothing and ski equipment, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
being where it is. But I'd never checked out there before, so that was a new one on me. And then we swung by and saw Steve Smith at the Mountain Wanderer. Most people know who Steve Smith is in the hike community, but of the many things he does and he's done, he is the co-author of the aims of the White Mountain 4,000 footer guide. And also helps write like the White Mountain trail guides and stuff. So cool to hang out there, chat with him a little bit. He's basically a White Mountains legend. I highly encourage anybody to kind of go in his shop if you are working on the 4,000 footers and just kind of meet him. And he's got AMC 4,000 stickers in there and a bunch of great books. I ended up picking up the new Adirondack hiking guide that came out by Jonathan Saharic, along with another few historical books that Mike Troki recommended. So pick those up. Troki.
Hold on, real quick. Is Steve listening to the PUDs podcast?
Yeah. No, I do not believe he is.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think he's been on any of the hiking podcasts. Troki was like, "I'll pitch it to him. Like, if you want to, I'd be super intimidated to have him on." But he's a very cool guy, and the thing with him too is, because he is such a figure in the White Mountains and he's been hiking for so long. Like he just has so many great stories, and like his casual thing now is he just goes out and checks out like random slides and stuff and bushwhacks to them in the whites. Like he's mostly doing bushwhacks. And
he's
things
bored.
Like that.
He's gotten bored. And he's finding other things to do.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, we pointed out so like case in point, when we got to the hairpin on the Kangamangas where the Hancock trail is and the sort of the start of that whole loop if you're doing the Hancocks, we saw a cascade pouring down off a slide on the side of the Osceolas. And I showed a picture to Steve, and he actually knew what slide it was. It was called the Dogleg Slide on Osceola. And he'd actually bushwhacked up to it before and hiked like halfway up it. And then he said it was just too steep and there were cascades. So he didn't make it that far. He's not really a rock climber. He said it was over his comfort level. But case in point, like you can show him a picture of the slide in the whites. And there's good odds that Steve number one, knows what it is. And number two, he's probably been there or at least explored the base of it. Most slides have great views inherently because it's all open land.
So this is the man I need to be sending my random mountain pics to.
Yeah, like he'd definitely be way better than me at knowing profiles of different mountains. So yeah, it was super neat to talk to him, and to put in perspective how much water and how much rain fell, it was enough that there were cascades. Like you could see across the valley, like on the mountainsides, you could see just waterfalls and water falling.
That's crazy.
Literally, in random. I should mention in spots that there's not normally rain and cascades.
Not typically.
It wouldn't be that impressive if it was like that all the time.
It's like if there's water cascading into your basement. It's that shocking.
Yeah, like it shouldn't be there. It's not normally there. So yeah, where were we? So Choki just dropped me back off, and at this point, I was thinking of what to do. I was like still not. I was tired because we woke up early and hiked, and I'd woken up early to get to New Hampshire before work the other day. But I still wanted to check out some stuff. Kind of had some plans, and that sort of ended up getting redirected and sort of fell through, which was unfortunate. But we're in New Hampshire, so there's plenty of stuff to do. So my goal was to check out some more waterfalls and at least hit somewhere for sunset. So I decided to drive up to Franconia Notch, pack some food and stuff. So I had something to eat. And made my way to the basin, which is pretty much a tourist hot trap. I think most people have heard the basin. It's one of those pull-offs in Franconia Notch State Park. It was rip-roaring, as one might expect, like everything else in any of the water features in the whites after that rain. So snuck over there, shot a ton of pictures. Was pretty stoked with how some of them came out. And then for sunset, I wanted to go back to a spot that I've been before for sunset, which was Bald Mountain, which is actually right adjacent to Artist Bluff, sort of at the northern side of Franconia Notch. And it's fantastic for sunset because it basically faces due west. And you actually have a great view west towards Vermont and some of the Vermont 4,000 footers. Probably most prominently, Mount Mansfield is very easy to see from where that is. So got up there. Was nobody up there at first, which I was kind of like, this probably isn't going to last because it was a beautiful night. And sure enough, there was a family of like, I don't know, it seemed like 20 people came up there. So I'm glad everybody was out enjoying it, and I did not expect it to have to myself. But for a second, I'm like, maybe there's going to be nobody up here tonight. And that was just a silly idea because there was a bunch of people. Snapped a ton of photos up there. It was an absolutely beautiful sunset. Just when it seemed like the sun was going below the clouds and it wasn't going to pop out again, it actually like burned off, and there was just this bright, unreal orange-red color just right over the tops of the mountains in Vermont, poking out. Super bright. Super beautiful. It was just excellent. I shot a ton of photos. I shot some video. And was really just sitting down and enjoying it. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see a lot of people up there just enjoying it with their families. And at that point, I'm already like kind of like, oh, I wish Ashlyn Ryland here. I can't wait to come up here with Ryland and stuff. I saw like a family, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, by that point, I'm like, I could bring her up here in a pack. Like, we should do this. We'll just have to keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't like fall off a cliff.
Yeah, don't fall
other than that,
into the basin.
Yeah. So that was cool. That pretty much rounded out Saturday. Went back, ate some food, or some more food, I should say, and crashed pretty early. And Sunday, wanted to get back at a decent time, but I did want to, as Josh would always say, I
was wondering. Yeah. I was going to ask, but I knew you were going to get there.
Yeah.
Had to fill every day with at least one.
I got to get there. I get there. I could get one more. And for those keeping score, the Hancocks were number 41 and 42 of my summer 48. So cranking a little bit out, continuing. And I figured I wanted to bag one more. And at this point, I've got 5 left now, but I had 6 left. So from what I had left to choose from, the shortest hike I had was doing Mount Jackson, which I somehow have just ended up with by itself for it. So I only needed it for summer, which I actually didn't realize till it was coming down. So that was kind of cool. It's the 5th peak that I've gotten in all 4 seasons up there. So that was kind of neat in itself. And it's a short hike. It's only 5.6 miles and it's 2650 feet, or whoops, not 2650 feet. Where's my stats on that? It is 2150 feet. So 5.2 miles, 2150 feet. So you can read as like, it's not crazy, but it's a fairly steep hike. The trail starts going up pretty good. You'll find the trailhead for this one in Crawford Notch right off 302, kind of across from the Highland Center. There's a couple different ways to do it, but this is probably the most common if you're just doing Jackson by itself. A lot of people do Jackson Pierce. A lot of people do Webster Pierce, which Webster's a 52 at the view. So you can actually kind of choose to make a loop doing just Webster Jackson. But this day, for the time constraint, I wanted to get back in the afternoon. I got up there relatively early. I don't know if it was probably around 10 o'clock, something like that. I still had to pack up my car and do all that in the morning. So it took me a little bit longer than I thought it was to get all my crap together with my camera stuff and whatnot. But got there right around 10 o'clock. It was super packed in Crawford Notch, not surprising since it was beautiful weather. And a lot of people, too, I realized talking to some just different hikers on the trail, a lot of people assumed the weather wasn't great on Saturday or the day before because of what the forecast looked like. So they were kind of showing up later. So I think Sunday was just the day that everybody's like, we're going to get out Sunday because it definitely looks beautiful by Sunday. So super packed, found a spot further, I'd say relatively actually far from the trailhead. It wasn't like I was a quarter mile away, but it was just jam-packed with cars, so I had to park a little bit of a ways away. But started up, again, done this trail a few times. I was reminded this Webster Jackson trail going up to Mount Jackson is not one of my favorite trails. It's rough, it's got some up and downs, it's very eroded and washed out from all the foot traffic that it gets. There's nothing terribly sketchy on it. When you go up to Mount Jackson, the last couple bits, there's a couple good scrambles. On this day, it proved to be a little bit more challenging than normal just because everybody, all the hikers had wet, muddy boots that were going up those ledges. So more of an issue on the way down than on the way up, but made pretty good time up there. I think I got up there in a little over an hour. It was just kind of chugging along. And fantastic views up to Mount Washington. So Mount Jackson's sort of the tail end with Webster of the presidential range. Jackson is not actually named after a president, which I think a lot of people don't actually realize. Pierce is where the president named peaks sort of ends. Hence, a lot of people just do a Prezi Traverse, or a true Prezi Traverse is really just Madison through to Pierce. If you're looking to do that, some people choose to do the whole thing. You can definitely do that and go all the way from say Madison to Webster. But again, that's just, I guess, a sort of clarification on the name Jackson. But yeah, beautiful views up there. You could see all the way up to Washington. You're looking to the north, you kind of got the Presidents in front of you. To your sort of west, you've got all the Tom Field Willie Range. Super cool. You got Mount Willard you can look down on. You got Webster in front of you. And then you got this whole beautiful area in front of you from Chikura, seeing Mount Kerrigan. You could see the Hancocks. Just a boatload of peaks all around. And there was some nice little puffy clouds flying over for some nice shadows and lighting. Didn't bring my camera for this one. I just shot with my phone camera because I didn't feel like dragging my camera up in my pack again. Chilled up there and pretty much made my way down. A little slower going on the way down for sure because it was just wet and muddy. And it's kind of glad I didn't have a ton of people in front of me. I didn't spend much time at the summit, but I also was I feel like it's just going to get worse going down, and wanted to head home. And yeah, man, I guess without further ado, basically that was the end of the trip. I headed home, and that was pretty much the weekend. Yeah, called it a day, and 43 out of 48 for the summer with Mount Jackson. So I got 5 left. I've got the Twins, North and South Twin, and then I've got Cabot, Mariah, and Wambeck. So that's my last 5 summer peaks, and we'll see if we get to them before the end of the summer. I'm not dead set on it. It'd be nice to do it. It's actually 4 different hikes probably, unless I do a really long one or camp out on one of them. So
was that 5 hikes in 3 days for those keeping score at home?
Something like that. Yeah, I didn't look at the mileage and elevation game, but it was a good bit. It wasn't a killer, but yeah, I could tell. I think 2 more when you do the back-to-back repeated different hikes. On Jackson, I definitely could feel my legs they weren't cruising like they were when I was running up Cascade Path on Friday. We'll say that much. But it was great weekend. It was super fun getting out there with Troki. We made the best of it with the Denali Challenge being canceled. It's kind of rough since we had planned it out a couple months ago too to go up and do that. Hopefully the weather's a little bit better next year. I'm curious, like looking online, how many people did it. I think if we had Saturday, Sunday to do it, that would have been fine. But again, just kind of time constraints on Troki's side.
We got to get
it was a blast.
We got to get Steve Smith to make us the official podcast of the White Mountains. We got to get his endorsement.
I did link. So if you do click on the episode, I believe it was Mike Troki's episode that I linked the guide and stuff. But if you are looking to buy any of those guides or any sort of historical books about the White Mountains, I do highly encourage you to check out the Mountain Wanderers website and support sort of Steve Smith and support the local guys as opposed to just buying it off Amazon. I actually linked his shop into any of the guides that I put into the episodes. So we're trying to send him a little bit of business. I think I forgot to mention that to him, but I'm like, maybe you'll see an influx. Probably not.
Yeah. Let him know, dude. You got to listen to the podcast.
I will. Yeah, I didn't drop that yet. I don't know him that well to be like, hey, I have a podcast. Or I should say that's just not my personality type to be like, hey,
I would have walked right in that door and be like, hey, Stevie, guess what? Here's a sticker, dude. PUDs Podcast. Check it out. We make us the official podcast of the White Mountains.
like I don't think even he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, right.
Unless we're like sponsored by the AMC or something. But anyways, man.
Yeah, cool stuff, man.
That was it. Yeah.
That's a good couple
as always,
weekends.
You always make fun of me because I'm like, you were like, oh, you can't bang this out in 30 minutes, and you were right. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah, I know. There's no way, dude.
Yeah.
There was 5 hikes.
Impossible.
5 hikes in 3 days. Plus,
if I didn't get into the details, I could do it.
Yeah, but you're a details.
Try to let our people know what's going on.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. You're a details man. That's why everybody loves it. That's why everybody loves you. You get into the details. I'm a big picture man.
Anyways, this is just nonsense. Let's get into the descent.
Yeah, let's do it.
To say that this week's descent is brought to you by Adventuristic Clothing Company.
Yeah, Adventuristic. Let's go.
Adventuristic.
Let's go.
Adventuristic by our awesome friend Lori, who was on the last episode. Check out the episode if you haven't, and hear about how she kind of got into the clothing industry and starting a small business and the whole rest of it about the designs and all that good stuff. But Adventuristic, awesome shirts, awesome designs, all inspired by nature and hiking and everything outdoorsy. She's got your t-shirts, she's got hoodies, she's got moisture wicking, like sort of tech t-shirts that work fantastic. I've been actually taking one of them on hikes and I guess being sort of a test subject. You actually might see me as a model on the website if you happen to poke on over there.
Oh, you are 100% on the website. 100%.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% on the website. That was just me being, 100% on the website. But anyways, was super happy we're working with her. And she actually put up a nice coupon code for us. So if you use the code all caps PUDS Pod, PUDS POD, you can get 20% off your first order, which is a fantastic deal, I think.
And Nick, where can they find this website?
It's adventuristic.com. Adventuristic.com. That's adventuristic.com. So check them out, grab some clothes, support a small business.
Yeah. Promo code PUDS Pod for 20% off. And like Nick said,
PUDS Pod,
quality,
all caps, PUDS POD.
Quality shirts, great art that she is creating on her own. No cookie cutters here. It's an artist making art and putting it on a t-shirt. So I think that's really cool.
She's hand drawing stuff. So there you go.
Proud to partner up with them.
Yeah, we're stoked. So you got anything to plug this week in the descent, or what you been up to?
Yeah, man. We started watching. Yeah, we started watching House, dude, and House is so good. I can't believe it's taken us this long.
Dude, it's a great show.
Yeah, it is so good, dude.
Me and Ash went down that rabbit hole a while ago, but it's good stuff. Is it Hugh Laurie?
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. Yeah,
he's a good actor.
Yeah, I think it's Hugh Laurie. Omar Epps is one of those doctors in it. Yeah, and there's like cameos from a bunch of different people. Or we banged out like the whole first season in like 3 days. So now we just started the second season, and yeah, so good. It's on Amazon Prime right now for free if you have Prime. So yeah, check out.
General
House.
premises, and it's about he's like a doctor that's trying to basically find, it's not like cures, or is it cures to like
no, he's
super
like
rare diseases
when
and stuff,
people
or
can't
like,
figure out what the diagnosis is.
That's what it is.
They go to house.
I forgot the premise.
Yeah, and he's like addicted to pain meds.
But he's also like a genius.
He's
like
a genius, and he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
So,
like, that's right. And he's like a total asshole to everybody. But they just have to deal with him because he's brilliant.
Yeah, because he's saving lives left and right, and he can solve all the medical issues that other people can't solve. So, yeah, it's so good, dude. So good. So we've been watching that, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to The Rings of Power is coming back on August 29th, I believe. I thought the first season was fantastic.
Amazon?
Yep, Amazon.
Yeah, that's
Prime.
right, because Amazon like blew a ton of money on that. I remember now.
It was fantastic, and it's worth it, dude. You can tell like the cinematic value alone is like worth seeing or watching the show just for like the landscapes and all that stuff and how they made things look. It looks fantastic. I know there was some. It was kind of going up against House of the Dragons for the first season, so I know there was a lot of comparison to that. But
they staggered it this time.
Yeah, they staggered it this time, but they probably should have ran up against it this time because House of the Dragons season 2 is garbage.
Oh man,
yeah.
I was gonna ask, did you finish that finally?
We got the finale, but I've heard the finale was an absolute crap fest.
All right, you'll have to fill us in on that again. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not being very encouraged to watch it by your comments for sure.
You could definitely skip it, and you're not going to be missing out on anything.
Yeah.
How about you, man? You been up watching anything good? Anything to plug?
Yeah. So admittedly, Ash has been watching Love Is Blind for a long time, and I've been also participating in it as well. But even I think I'm running out. I think I'm running out of like, it's not like making fun of the people kind of thing. I think I'm just done. So I've kind of delved back into playing video games a little bit here and there.
Oh, nice.
Just for me like 20-30 minutes before bed. So I've been playing an expansion to Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, nice.
Phantom Liberty. So I ended up getting that, and I've been diving down that a little bit, the video game rabbit hole, and playing a little bit here and there. But we did find a show that we both kind of wanted to watch, and it's The Bear on Hulu, which I believe you said you had started watching it. We're like in the second season, but it's got I don't know the actor's name, but it's the guy that's in that plays Lip in Shameless.
Yeah.
If anybody's seen Shameless out there, and it's got a couple other actors and actresses that I've sort of noticed in other things, but I don't know, like none of them are like super super famous people. I definitely recommend. Recognize some faces.
Lip's definitely the most famous out of the cast, I'd say. It's a really good show. That first season was really good. It's just, for me, it's one of those cases of you can't watch everything, and I just don't have the time to invest into that show.
Yeah. The premise, and I haven't even figured out the whole background yet, but the premise is that I believe it's his brother that. Basically, Lip's character, his brother committed suicide, I believe, or something like that. And he's supposed to be like some brilliant, amazing chef, and they're trying to sort of save a restaurant. And I'll probably leave it at that. But that's sort of the premise. But it's really good. The cinematography in it is really, really good. I feel like too, just because I've been getting more into like filming my own stuff with cameras and like doing stuff as simple as like filming Ash, like hiking, or whatever. Like it's really well filmed. I think there's a lot of cool shots, and it's really just a good looking show in itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can agree with that for sure.
But yeah, man, that's about it.
Sweet.
That's about it.
You want to get into a hypothetical?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I almost forgot about that.
Can't forget.
Can't forget the hypothetical. What are you going to hit me up with this week, buddy?
All right. Nick, someone builds an optical...
Josh! I feel like I just have to do that now. It's just a thing.
Someone builds an optical portal that allows you to see a vision of your own life in the future. It's essentially a crystal ball that shows a randomly selected image of what your life will be like in 20 years. You can only see into this portal for 30 seconds. When you finally peer into the crystal, you see yourself in a living room, 2 decades older than you are today. You are watching a Canadian football game, and you are extremely happy. You are wearing a Canadian Football League jersey, CFL. Your chair is surrounded by books and magazines that promote the CFL, and there are CFL pennants covering your walls. You are alone in the room, but you are gleefully muttering about historical moments in Canadian football history. It becomes clear that for some unknown reason, you have become obsessed with Canadian football. And this future is static and absolute. No matter what you do, this future will happen. The optical portal is never wrong. This destiny cannot be changed. So, Nick, the question. The next day, you are flipping through television channels and randomly come across a preseason CFL game between the Toronto Argonauts and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Knowing your inevitable future, do you now watch it?
That's such a weird hypothetical.
And you know what's funny, Nick, is I can 100% see you diving into this because I see you surrounded by books of hiking and all that stuff in your own home.
So if it was just the next thing that
it's just the next thing, dude. It was just the next thing that you got into.
I just like something was like, man, this is awesome. And I do want to preface this. If you are one of our listeners and you're in Canada, no disrespect towards Canadian football, but it's not American football.
Oh, they obviously know. Yeah, they have to
for
know.
Sure. So no disrespect, but wow, that'd be a really niche thing to get in. Well, maybe it's not a niche thing because it's Canadian football, but to
be that big of a fan to own a jersey and have pennants on your wall,
that would be really off the wall. Yeah, and I'm just mumbling like historical moments of Canadian football history to myself.
Historical Canadian Football League facts.
The Toronto Argonauts
with your Byron Leftwich jersey. Oh my lord. So do you watch it, dude? You're flipping through. So now you're flipping through. You were trying to get to the bear, and then you see that
I think
CFL's
I have to,
on.
right? It doesn't matter because it's never wrong. So
Yeah.
I think I have to. Like, I don't think it matters. And maybe, excuse me, I'm yawning over here. But perhaps if I had watched the bear, maybe it was like a bad episode, so I ended up watching the CFL game anyways.
And then you're just like engaged. Like,
yeah, and that's it. I'm locked in.
Do you think
I just stop hiking and I just stop like playing guitar and all this other stuff.
You're like, this is my future. It's inevitable.
I do in my limited free time and just start watching the CFL all the time.
Oh my lord. You think, and this is where it gets like deep, dude. Now, because you saw that image and you're told that it is an inevitable image, do now like you feel like you have to be more invested in it at that time? You're like, this is my future. Might as well get the ball rolling on this.
But it doesn't matter though, because it said that basically you're gonna. It's never wrong.
Yeah, I know. But what if it's one of those things where because you saw that, now that's what does it and makes you a fanatic about it? It's one of those Black Mirror episodes, dude.
The hypothetical doesn't get into that depth, I guess, of the conversation. Yeah, it's like, are you going to become that because you saw that?
Yeah.
I don't know. You could get into, I mean, do you want to get into like, do you think fate is a thing, or do you think you actually get to make your own decisions in life? It's kind of in that same, I'm not saying we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's kind of one of those, it's like the whole argument that like The Matrix, I think, presents, the movie The Matrix, with that whole idea of like, is free will actually a thing, or are you just destined to do what you're going to do in life no matter what, and you don't actually have a choice?
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm not watching the game though. I think I'm skipping it.
Because you're going to end up watching it again anyway.
Because not even that. For it to captivate me to the point where I'm obsessed with it, something huge has to happen. And I'm not going to just start off there. I'm going to wait until the big thing happens and just let it happen when it happens. I mean,
Jeremiah is going to be a crazy Canadian football star.
Oh, there you go, dude. Yeah, that's actually that's a good one.
He's going to go to like college somewhere in Canada. And he's going to be like, it's going to be like a, I don't know, I'm trying to think like, not a, I want to say Happy Madison. What the hell's the name of the Adam Sandler movie where he's the football player? but it's gonna be like, you know, like they're just gonna be like, he's gonna like whip a football at some point. Like he's gonna be like jogging and he's gonna throw a football and then like, that kid has a cannon. And then they're gonna make him a football star. Come
play for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Yeah. He's like, we could use an arm like you on the Rough Riders.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that would do it. I mean, that would do it. I probably would become a lifelong fan at that point. That's funny, dude.
That was a weird one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. It makes you think a little bit.
It does. It does.
All right, man. Anything else?
No, man. I think that's it. So, as always, you can find us at PUDs Podcast on Instagram. We're on all the socials, PUDs Podcast on Facebook. We have PUDs Podcast on YouTube, which I think we forget to plug quite a bit, but we do have our own YouTube channel now where you can find all episodes of us. Not video. We pitched around, I think Josh has been pitching that a little bit. I think we're going to try to use video from now and then as a medium.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we get to that. But in any event, you can listen to all our episodes on YouTube. But yeah, just give us a shout out, shoot us a fan mail message, shoot us a message. We got those little links out and whatever podcasting platform you are where you can let us know what you think of the show. If you have any critiques, if you think Josh has a crazy accent, if you think that I have a lot of weird modifier words and I say but and yeah too much, let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, we got to do another episode soon, going through some fan mail and some feedback.
I agree.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Nice. All right, man. Well, until next time, bibbity boppity, give me the zoppity.
Bye. PUDs Podcast was produced and recorded in Black Hat Studios by the Pud Boys. Find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. Find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.